friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to make a cozy and warm Christmas village up in the frosted floating island. This is going to be one of many winter builds that I do, and so I wanted to create a Christmas town build early on with all of the items that we already have in the game. I can't wait to do more builds in the near future when we get the new winter items, both in December and pretty soon with the new Wish Blossom Ranch DLC. If you would like to see how this build was made, keep on watching. I am starting at the corner of my island with the train station, which if you recall, I showed a bit of it at the end of my Touch of Magic steam train tutorial, which will also be used in this build. I used some castle ruin wall pieces, and I am first making sure there is enough space on the sides to fit a Disney park entrance before I start making the station. For the train station, I actually wanted to combine both the castle wall ruins with the greenhouse walls from the star path. I alternated between using the towers and a greenhouse wall, getting about 5 castle walls and 4 greenhouse walls for the length of the station. Behind it, I will put the roof greenhouse pieces, and the middle ones will actually be replaced by the Disney park entrance later on. There are going to be a bunch of different lighting effects in this build, and so I wanted to give the greenhouse walls a back glow during the evening. For this, you will need to craft some display pillars and buy some Vitalis mine lamps, placing 3 of them behind each window. I add one more L-shaped wall towards the end because you don't need to see the light effects behind there, since what you can't see won't hurt you. Just hide them behind with the wall pieces and block it off so that your character and your villagers can't get through. I experimented with the design, and I found an intricate way to make it look more visually interesting. I used some of the castle arch pieces, and I placed them directly in front of the greenhouse walls. And then I take these smaller window wall pieces and tuck them on either side of each greenhouse wall. And I actually double each window wall piece, but I placed the Vitalis mine lamp on the back window to add a pop of light. I just added a small wall piece to the first tower and then an arch, which is going to be where the train supposedly goes through, before mirroring the L-shaped tower on the left. It's at this point where I also put down a couple of the Disney park entrances behind the train station. I outlined the pathing where I want my train tracks to go, which should line up closely with the arch. Mine is a little bit off-centered, which is fine. Once I put the train tracks down, I delete that path underneath, and then I outline the outsides with the snowy brick pathing. I want the train tracks to only have the snow underneath, a neat trick that I learned from Lilith's Cozy Haven on Instagram, so huge shout out to her. We will extend the pathing later, but I kinda start early by making the very edge a different pathing, which is the bordered stone slab pathing from the time bending table. I used some greenhouse pieces and thought it would be a nice touch to make a ticket booth, just to add a sliver of realism into the build. Back over at the train station, I make some wrought iron fences and I place them down in increments, making each gap around the same size and length as the fencing. So here is where the train comes into the picture, and just a reminder, I have a tutorial on my channel of how to make each piece of the train. Here I am just assembling it on the tracks, starting with that dresser piece and the 2 fridge pieces. And then you will need to make sure that you have a lot of wardrobes crafted to build the length of the train. For every 3 black wardrobes, I add a red one, and I really like how it looks in the assembly. Since it's tucked into a corner, this is a good opportunity to do some forced perspective. I add a New Orleans streetcar, and to me it kind of just looks like there's an added layer on the train with the ceiling sticking out. This is also so random, but I use the training camp kilns in the Mulan collection, and I hide it behind the train, and to me it kind of just looks like smoke. I also added a permafrost cloud to emulate steam coming out of the train. I extended the snowy brick path, and on either side of the fencing, I put some benches for seating. I put a bunch of these park clocks for that overall station vibe, tucking a few of them into the crevices with added light fixtures for a more interesting look. This Dreamlight Bell beacon was from Storybook Vale, and it matches the winter aesthetic in my opinion, and I guess it would just make a good train bell for when it approaches. Can you tell I always try to make a story out of every area in my build? I swear sometimes it really does help to keep the process moving along. Now to give the train station some more depth, I add an array of trees, a lot of the Ever After fir trees combined with the Frosted Heights trees. I love the way that the frozen willow trees hang over the stone walls, so I did that quite often throughout the build. I also layer some of the tall trees in the back, adding the shorter ones more towards the front of the build where you can see them clearly. For some more details, I add minor things like a pretzel stand and a festive market stand, which will tie into the later half of the build. I also make a small seating area with some of the wrought iron tables and chairs. I actually forgot that these park benches existed, but the color scheme kind of just screams Christmas, so I replaced whatever benches I put down earlier with these ones. Closing off the train station from the village, I use some of these festive light star banners. Off camera, I had been experimenting with the pathing, and then I decided to use these grates in the center where all of the benches are. I fill in that gap near the train with some Main Street pathing, which adds a nice pop of red back into the picture amidst all the sea of gray pathing. For some final details, I work on the ticket booth, adding some more display stand and Vitalis mine lamps inside, and somehow being able to fit another wall in front of that to hide it. Then I just added some tables, chairs, and some office-esque items. We are finally beginning our Christmas village. Where we have our opening of the train station, I tried to line up a festive Christmas tree and drag it out into the middle of the empty space. For this design, I was inspired by some Christmas villages that I have seen in real life all across Europe, and I was also inspired by the miniature Christmas village decorations that people put in their homes. This design is very circular, so here you see me place down all of the buildings from the past Star Path and Premium Shop, as well as some festive market stands circling around the tree. Behind the buildings, I add some more Disney Park entrances, which will create a forced perspective to make the town seem bigger than it actually is. Off to the side, I put a bunch of ice skating rinks, and that will eventually be a small ice skating park. Similar to the train station, this is a subtle detail which if you want to, you can skip. I use the castle ruin arches and I layer greenhouse walls behind it. will add lights behind there as we did with the station, but first I start by layering the back with some trees, a lot of them being mostly from the Frosted Heights. Once again, those frozen willow trees just look beautiful draping down the walls, and so I keep that up in various spots. After that, I used more display pillars and Vitalis mine lamps, as well as some normal wrought iron lights to give the windows a back glow. As I said, this feature is subtle, but when you walk around the village, you get to peek at these fake buildings, which only fools your perception into thinking the village is much bigger. Around the Christmas tree, I layer some snowy brick pathing with the Main Street pathing. I chose to leave the middle area empty with the snow rather than creating a path to circle around the town. Instead, I used more snowy brick pathing, and angling it around the tree, I only placed them under the buildings, filling in the back when I'm done. This is so random and optional, but I saw an image of a Christmas village with a castle in the background, and it actually kind of inspired me. So I removed much of that corner and I add a castle. It isn't really accessible, but its purpose is more for the forest perspective, so that the castle overlooks the village. I don't know why I take out the tree, but it will be a tree by the end of this, don't worry. Circling it, I use the Nightmare Before Christmas train tracks and I have it circle around the tree. I also start adding some more details such as these hot chocolate stands which you can craft. So from where that snowy house is, I extend that pathing all the way out past the coffee shop, which will eventually lead the way towards the ice skating park. Adding some more festive elements, I use another pretzel stand and these very festive bushes to line the outside of the train station. Now is the time for some more minor details, and so I jump around a lot in this part of the build since I get the ideas in my head as I go. I start with some basic tables and chairs, and then I shift over to the train station and add piles of presents. also scatter some snowmen all over, and these are craftable as well, just to make it look a little more lively. I chart down where I want my light sources to be, and so I tuck in some wrought iron lights in the crevices between buildings, and I will also be using these together with some more festive lights later on. While I am here, I also decide that the gap looks a little awkward, so I connect the pathing, which makes a more circular shape around the tree. Using the same bushes, I circle the outer area around the circular train tracks and tree. I think this is where it starts to look a little more festive. In that same area, I put 2 illuminated deer decorations just to add some more bright elements to the build, since where I built it, the village is mostly in the shade. Next to the coffee shop, I also put down this Christmas Town mini carousel, since having some moving objects will definitely help with the atmosphere. Additionally, I placed down the sleigh item, and then I craft some Yule goats to pull the sleigh. I think it's a funny and cute feature, and it's also the best option for reindeer at the moment. After adding some small details, I focus more on the left side exiting the town, framing those buildings with more trees. Off camera, I also added 2 festive stands to where I had that outer pathing. This is where I start to use some winter crystal furniture under that willow tree, which will help transition from the more Christmas vibe in the village to a more neutral winter vibe in the ice skating park. I went back and tried to add some ever after fir trees just so that it flows from the train station. As I mentioned previously, this is where I add the festive wreath posts, and the footprint was a bit tricky to work with. So I had to move some items around, and behind each light I tried to add back those wrought iron lights, since the festive ones don't really emit any light, and so I need the wrought iron ones to act as functional lights. I keep tweaking the tables and chairs, and then I eventually add another festive light banner in the back because I think it just looks very nice there. I tend to go overboard with lighting, but I just wanted some more pops of light since I wasn't really satisfied with the current situation. In the day, this village is meant to look normal, but I wanted the magic to come alive in the evening and night. So in various corners, I add some Vitalis mine lamps, some of them being tucked in between buildings and on top of craftable crates. I then made the decision to use 4 of those lights in the center by the tree, and I was really happy I did because it looks a lot more alive. So now for the last bit of the build, we will just be making a nice and natural area for the ice skating park. I framed the back with some more willow trees and frosted pine trees. I actually remove one of the ice rinks in the back and I add this wintry pond instead just to make it a little more interesting. I use more winter crystal furniture from the Frost and Fairy Star Path, and then I add more Vitalis mine lamps and snowmen. In between all of the ice rinks, I use this zircon pathing, which is kind of new for a change in this build, and it is also blue, so it matches the color scheme perfectly. Everything I do now is just final touches, pulling decor from the village area and making some small adjustments, and then you are done. I hope you enjoyed the speed build and walkthrough. I am happy to say that this isn't the only Christmas themed village you will see this season, but I hope this one inspires you early on to bring some Christmas magic into your valley. Thank you also for voting on my poll, and the results are in. I will make a Christmas town in the actual Frosted Heights biome in some days to come, so stay tuned for that. If you liked the video, be sure to like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!